And let's take a look at tonight's starting lineups brought to you by I Love New York. What a great vacation. ILoveNewYork.com. And the Stags have made a switch. Michael Van Scoik out. Jeremy Riedel in.
Now Van Scoik struggling, just one double-figure game in the last 9. So they turn to the freshman for some energy.
Tim O'Toole on the left, Joe Mihalik on the right. Our coaching matchup brought to you by Anaconda Sports and The Rock. The Rock, the official basketball of the MAAC. Joe Mihalik's Purple Eagles, the defending MAAC tournament champs, trying to defend their title successfully. In order to do that, our Verizon keys to the game between the Stags and Niagara. Rob, what do they need to do?
Well, first of all, Fairfield has to mix things up defensively. They're not a very good defensive team. Got to give them different looks. They've got a much longer bench. They've got to make that a factor. For Niagara, they've got to make sure that they've got the intensity to match the intensity you're going to see from Fairfield. And then they've got to attack the pressure and make them score. Force Fairfield to get out of their pressure defense.
Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you. And neither does our crew here in Albany. We're set for game 2 of our triple header as the MAAC tournament's opening round continues. Niagara, as the higher seed, has its home white uniforms on. Fairfield in its traveling red. And the Purple Eagles with the basketball first.
And right off the bat, Fairfield in zone. They've got to make sure that Niagara takes their time and attacks in the half court, despite whatever they're going to play defensively. You'll see man, you'll see junk defense, you'll see zone. It doesn't matter what they're running. Niagara's got to settle in and run good half court offense.
And it won't matter what Fairfield does, that Niagara is going to crash the glass. This is a team that works extremely hard, and in spite of only having 2 players on the bench on scholarship, they work hard. Now it's time to take a look at the series history brought to you by Pontiac. Pontiac, the official performance machines of the NCAA and of the MAAC. Niagara with the basketball. Stanley Hodge is the point guard. Lorenzo Miles is their leading scorer. Michael Bell with a nice rebound.
And a good box out, and that's what you've got to do. As you mentioned, the Purple Eagles will get after it on both glasses, both defensively and on the offensive boards.
Rebound by Cliff Brown. In they go to Mathis, who finished the season extremely strong. He'll go to the line to shoot a couple of foul shots, and that's something else that the Purple Eagles do a lot of and do very well there.
Oh, they get to the line. I mean, they average over 17 foul shots per game. That's #1 in the MAAC, one of the best teams in the country at getting themselves to the line. This is a guy who gets to the line because he does a great job posting up inside, using his body and his strength to get himself opportunities from 15 feet away.
Mathis is a 6'6", 235-pound senior from Newark, New Jersey. He averages 10.6 rebounds per game, and Mathis coming off his career-high performance. It came in this building last weekend in the regular season finale when Niagara lost in double overtime to Siena. Mathis had 21 points and 15 rebounds in that contest.
And Joe Mihalik was so proud of his team's effort in that game. He had guys playing 50 minutes. Cliff Brown with 50 minutes out on the floor. Certainly this is a team that does not have depth.
Terrence Todd with his first shot, and he finds nothing but net.
And that's where he's at his best in that mid-range game. 15 to 18 feet, curling off screens. He's got that quick release.
He had 22 points on senior day. Went over 1,500 for his career at Fairfield University. Cross court to Duffy. Riedel reads him trying to penetrate and cuts him off on the baseline.
And certainly Niagara would like to play a little inside out against the zone defense. Get it inside, then kick it out to three-point shooters.
Shot clock still winding down because Fairfield never got possession. And so the Purple Eagles turn it over.
And Joe Mihalik's team with not a very good offensive possession that time in his 8th season here at Niagara. And over those 8 years that he's been the head coach, they've been the winningest program in the MAAC during that span of 8 years.
His team this year 7-11 in MAAC play, although 4 of those games went to overtime or double overtime. So clearly that record could have been a lot better with a little bit of luck. Brown just keeps working hard on the glass for his first 2. The junior from Ferndale, Michigan, makes the score 5-2 Niagara.
And the reason why the Purple Eagles have been able to hang in there after the tough injury to Sharon Fisher, their leading scorer and rebounder, who hurt his knee and then was out of the lineup, was because other guys have stepped up. Nobody bigger than Cliff Brown during that stretch.
Todd with the runner again, that in-between game you talked about, Rob.
Absolutely, a guy who will put it to the floor, get by you, but he's not worrying about getting all the way to the rim. He's not big enough or strong enough to finish at the rim. He's going to finish 15 feet away.
Lorenzo Miles does his Terrence Todd impersonation, getting into the lane, mid-range shot. He's got his first 2.
And he's been playing good basketball over the last 5 games, averaging nearly 20 per game.
On the year, Miles has his season average up to 15.4 per contest. And again, most of the Niagara players have had a spike in performance over the last couple of weeks, as much because they've had to, as because, well, they're the ones out there on the floor.
And because they know they're going to get those minutes. You don't have to look over your shoulder. You miss a shot, you know you're going to be able to play your way through it.
Cliff Brown with 4 points. It's a 5-point Niagara lead. Jonathan Hahn off the bench at the point for Fairfield. Riedel, the offensive rebound, kicks to Michael Bell. From the baseline, he rattles it home.
And they need Michael Bell to step up and make shots. He's had double-figure scoring in 3 of their last 4 games, playing his best basketball coming down the stretch of his senior season.
Fairfield is yet to connect, as you see, on any of its 5 shots from beyond the arc. Miles has yet to connect for Niagara.
Fairfield's done a good job rebounding out of the zone.
Terrence Todd, who's a natural southpaw, gives it back to Hahn. Fairfield down by 3 in the early going.
And when you think of Timmy O'Toole coach teams here at Fairfield, known for their defense, their intensity, this is a different look for this team. Much better on the offensive end than they are defensively.
Jonathan Hahn, the freshman from Brooklyn, gets his first 2 on the runner.
A guy who had a great start to his freshman year, then kind of plateaued for a stretch, but certainly a big bright spot here in his freshman season for Tim O'Toole.
Timeout on the floor, 5 minutes in. Tim O'Toole's Fairfield Stags trailing Cliff Brown and the Purple Eagles by a point. The 6'7" junior from Ferndale, Michigan, who averages 14 per game, has 4 in the early going for Niagara.
What are you looking for in a college? Cutting-edge academic programs, a faculty that's second to none, great recreational opportunities and residence halls? How about a college that will provide you with the education you need to become a leader in your profession and in your community? If that's what you're looking for in a college, you'll find it at Canisius. To learn more about Canisius College, call 1-800-843-1517 or visit us on the web at canisius.edu. Canisius College, where leaders are made.
Tim O'Toole and the Fairfield Stags trailing by a point early here at the Pepsi Arena. In his 8th season at his alma mater, and on his coaching resume, he went to several stops before getting back to Fairfield.
And certainly has done a terrific job here at Fairfield. In 2003, took him to the MAAC championship game when they lost to Manhattan. Year prior to that, was honored as the MAAC Coach of the Year.
He's the 3rd winningest coach in Fairfield men's basketball history. And as a player, he was part of the first NCAA tournament team back in 1986. Mathis with the slam off the nice feed from Stanley Hodge.
And Mathis doing a good job sneaking behind the zone defense. So many times out of the zone, you can sneak behind the back line.
Alvin Carter in the ball game for the Stags. Todd with a 3, well short. DeWitt Maxwell after it, but Hodge does a nice job of coming down from the guard spot and grabbing the defensive rebound. 14:10 to go first half. Joe Mihalik calls out baseline.
And getting good movement against the zone defense, and once again sneaking behind the back line. Mathis with his strength inside.
Duffy on the floor with possession. He gets tied up. And it'll be Fairfield ball on the possession arrow.
Talk about stepping along the baseline and sneaking behind the zone defense. Good screen in right there to allow Mathis to step behind and get the easy dunk, but Cliff Brown with a nice little screen off to allow him to sneak behind.
Michael Van Scoik with the basketball into the game for the first time for the Stags, and Herbie Allen has also checked in. He made the MAAC All-Rookie team announced on Monday. Maxwell misfires. Quickly up ahead. Dangerous pass caught by Brown, and he is pushed out of bounds and fouled.
Heck of a catch by Brown. I mean, that was a tough one right there, trying to push the pace.
Looked like a wide receiver in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, look at this. And he had 2 feet down, so that works. There's the push from behind. Certainly Niagara will try and get out and run given the opportunity, the way they rebound the basketball. You mentioned it a couple times, Doug, the best rebounding team in the MAAC. Out-rebound their opponents by over 5 per game.
Miles with an air ball. And it'll go back to the Stags, who also have Danny Oglesby into the game. And the substitutions just keep coming for Fairfield. Jeff Middleton, the sophomore from Maplewood, New Jersey, into the contest.
And Timmy O'Toole looking for some answers. As we said, they certainly have the much deeper bench and going to it early and often here at the start of the game.
10 different Fairfield players have played so far in the first 6:45.
Making you work.
Got to keep track of that roster. Well, not a problem with Niagara. Only 7 players healthy and on scholarship are dressed for this MAAC tournament opener. Middleton misfires. Brown with another rebound. One and done at that end for Fairfield.
And Fairfield so concerned to rush back and get into their zone defense. Shot goes up. Instead of red jerseys going to the glass, they're running back to get back in transition defense.
Well, it wouldn't be surprising to see Alvin Carter and Jeff Middleton get more playing time tonight because of their size up front. Meanwhile, Cliff Brown provides all sorts of matchup trouble because he's a big guy who can step out and do that.
Oh, he finally got a made 3-point shot. Both teams struggling from deep. Both teams playing some zone. Both teams mixing it up. Going to have to make some threes over top.
Alvin Carter hits the 3, or that's a 2, had a foot on the line. So just a 2 makes it 14-10.
Good ball reversal, and on the make, they get up and show a little 3/4 court pressure defense.
Miles kicks to Brown. Can't make it 2 in a row. Van Scoik with a rebound for the Stags. Herbie Allen makes it consecutive corner jumpers. This one was beyond the arc, and so it's a 3-pointer, and Fairfield back within 1.
And here's the pressure defense. Key is to get the ball in the middle of the floor and attack as they did there. Good defensive recovery by the Stags.
Van Scoik at the point, guarded by Hodge. 11:26 to go first half here at the Pepsi Arena in Albany. Herbie Allen penetrates around Duffy in a nifty left-handed shot.
Well, he shoots the ball so well from beyond the arc. Knocked down his last 3. You come rushing at him. He's got the ability to put it down to the floor and get to the rim. Good adjustment.
He is 7th best in the MAAC in 3-point accuracy at 43%. Lorenzo Miles looking good on his stroke. He's a 40% shooter from 3-point range.
And the full court pressure has allowed us to get some pace here all of a sudden. It was a slow start. Both teams misfiring from deep. All of a sudden, both teams get hot. And these are 2 teams that can string them together and get on runs offensively.
Niagara with a 2-point lead, and they'll get it back when we come back. A traveling violation by Herbie Allen, but the young freshman star of the Stags has come up with a couple of early baskets. 17-15 our score, and when we come back, we'll have a great moment in Fairfield University basketball history here on the MAAC Television Network. Fairfield down by 2 against Niagara, and as we celebrate the 25-year anniversary of the MAAC, let's take a look back at a great moment in Fairfield history. It's not how you start, but if you qualify. Fairfield University suffered through injuries to a last-place finish in 1997, but started fresh in the MAAC tournament. The Stags beat Canisius in the final, and the unlikely NCAA tournament bid was theirs. Tim O'Toole's Fairfield Stags looking to pull off another improbable run at the MAAC tournament. Although Paul Cormier had a couple of healthy bodies back that he couldn't rely on during the regular year back in '97.
Shannon Bowman, who had a terrific run after being banged up during the regular season.
Greg Francis wound up being the tournament MVP, but yeah, Bowman was the Willis Reed impersonator. Had the bum foot or bum ankle and came hobbling out at the HSBC Arena out in Buffalo and led his team to the big dance, where they very nearly pulled the bigger shocker and beating North Carolina. They wound up losing at the end, but they gave the Tar Heels all they could handle.
And remember, everybody was focused in on North Carolina as Dean Smith was closing in on the all-time win record held by Adolph Rupp.
Miles off the mark. Fairfield basketball. Greg Noel, the last to touch.
And he's given them some effort off the bench as well. Niagara getting after it on the offensive glass. Good hustle play by Noel to get himself an easy one inside as he stripped it away from the big guy Middleton.
Van Scoik and Allen in the backcourt, along with Danny Oglesby, a 6'3" junior from Hamden, Connecticut.
Niagara back into the zone defense, doing a good job matching up out of it.
Allen kicks back to Oglesby. He fires the three.
Oglesby, a guy who's a forgotten offensive player at times, averaged 6 points per game, and a guy that can get himself on a run. He's had a good run to finish the season, averaging 8 points per game last 6 times.
Well, Fairfield, Rob, has had a litany of close losses, especially lately, but it's really marked this season. They lost a tough game to Providence, and in that game it was Danny Oglesby who went for 24 points. They only lost by 3 to the Friars in that ball game. Van Scoik missed badly on the reverse. Maxwell puts it up. No. It goes out of bounds. And Fairfield will keep possession.
One of the few times we've seen Fairfield get after it on the offensive glass. Tough miss inside by Van Scoik, but they keep it alive.
Well, the last 3 games, Fairfield has lost by a total of 10 points. And Tim O'Toole's club has kind of had that kind of year. They're 9-18 right now. They went 7-11 in league play, and that's why they're the number 8 seed here this weekend. There's the three by Danny Oglesby once again. He's got 6.
And a guy with tremendous range, started his college career at the University of South Florida. Scored over 3,000 points in his high school career. You got to find him.
Oglesby went for the steal, but instead he's whistled for the foul.
A good hustle. Certainly Timmy O'Toole likes the effort he's getting from his team, especially in their pressure defense. One of the keys, if you're going to press, trying to get taps from behind as you recover, as Niagara tries to push the pace and attack over top.
Barry DeRozier's come into the game for Niagara. Out there with Brown, who's got the ball now. Miles and Hodge in the backcourt, and Mathis inside. Brown with terrific form on the three-point jumper.
And he was really looking for the basketball. Got it the first time. They closed out quickly. He gave it up. Smart play not to force it. When he got it back, you can see both these teams starting to heat up from beyond the 3.
And Niagara has retaken the lead at 22-21. And Brown already in double figures with 10. And you know, over the last 5 games, he's averaging 24 points per game. Herbie Allen, quick, again to the left hand. This time couldn't get it up on the rim. Danny Oglesby did a nice job of sneaking up, but he is called for the foul. Lorenzo Miles made contact, but the foul goes against Fairfield. We'll take a break with a timeout on the floor. Tim O'Toole's Stags down a point.
What was most interesting about those papers?
The biggest thing I think is that NU is a lot more challenging.
The topic for today's class is going to be community policing.
They have high expectations, but I think it helps you, prep for the real world.
I've been teaching the DARE program.
They give you a chance to actually talk to professionals in that field. You know you're going to end up somewhere great because they've given you what you need to succeed. I would like to get my master's here at NU, and then I want to be in the FBI. High hopes, huh? My name is Asha. My school is Niagara University.
I know most of you just graduated high school last year, or maybe you've been working for a while, seen some things, done some things, but nothing has prepared you for what's going to happen now. We're going to set goals for each of you, way up here, way up here, and then we're going to help you exceed them. Believe it. And when finished, You're going to have not just a degree, you'll be a different person, a better person. Welcome to Iona.
Aspire, achieve. Iona. Call Iona College at 1-800-231-IONA.
These two teams seesawing back and forth. Niagara with a 1-point lead at the moment. And here's the Broadway Marketing mind-bending trivia question for game number 2. What MAAC team had the first win in postseason play, either in the NIT or NCAA tournament? Broadway Marketing mind-bending branded solutions. We'll have that answer for you in just a few minutes. Barry DeRozier trap, passes over top of it, and Hodge, against the defensive pressure, dragged his pivot foot.
And you don't have to get steals necessarily out of the pressure defense, but force the other team to turn the basketball over and make mistakes.
As you talked about earlier, Rob, the hallmark of Tim O'Toole clubs at Fairfield has been the defense, and we got a sense of that sort of pressure right there.
Yeah, but they've been struggling this year. Teams shooting nearly 49% from the field against them.
Off the turnover, Oglesby steps inside the three-point line and hits another shot, and another turnover forced as Lorenzo Miles stepped down the sideline.
And how about Timmy O'Toole? His guy goes down on the floor, picks up the charge, even though it wasn't called. He forced the turnover by dribbling out. He nearly dives on him on the floor. Watch Timmy come into your screen here. You think he's a little fired up? He's in great shape, a marathon runner. He could get back out there and throw his body around.
I'm sure he could. He starred for the Stags back in the mid-'80s. Oglesby, who scored the last 8 points for Fairfield, hands off to Todd. Shot clock at 15. Off the crossover, Todd can't get the roll.
Great breakdown to get himself some separation for the defense with that crossover.
Well, he made the second team All-MAAC All-Stars, as announced earlier this week.
Well, they missed Mathis. He was wide open trying to duck in there.
We are here at the Pepsi Arena in Albany as the MAAC tournament got underway earlier this evening. Good ball movement to get the shot by Miles, but he bricked it. Not much difference between the two teams from the floor so far, and not much difference on the scoreboard. There have been 4 lead changes already. Make it 5 now that Fairfield has retaken the lead. Maxwell spins in. Mathis with a defensive rebound.
And he just clears space with that huge upper body.
Nice catch and shoot by DeRozier, but it rims out. 6 minutes to go in the first half. Fairfield has yet to establish DeWitt and Maxwell inside, but as long as Oglesby keeps shooting, that's 11 straight Stags points for the junior from Hamden, Connecticut.
Well, you bring him off the bench to shoot over top of the zone. Doesn't matter if they're zone or man. Man, that time, able to fire from 3.
And you see he's yet to miss from the perimeter. Mathis, right in close for 2.
And again, just using his strength. Does a good job shaping up, and then once he's got it, not afraid to go initiate that contact. You're going to bounce off him.
The average is just under 11 points per game. Mathis already has 7 so far here tonight.
Yeah, he's been such a great leader for Joe Mihalik's team, and certainly doing it once again here this evening.
Carter with a quick release. Nothing but net. That's a 2 from the left baseline.
And Carter stepping in. He knocked down a deep 2 along the right sideline. A guy not known for his scoring, but he's given him some punch here today.
Quick move to the basket by Lorenzo Miles, and he's fouled. Terrence Todd called for his first personal as we take another look.
A good drive right there. The inside hand change to get by the first defender and go find the contact.
Oh, we talked about that great game here at the Pepsi Arena last weekend. Lorenzo Miles went for 26 points in that double overtime loss. Tim O'Toole, certainly one of the more intense coaches you'll see.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's working it on the sideline the whole time. You saw him come diving in to help one of his players up, this time working it as well. See the dejection after the ball gets scored inside.
Calmer moment now for the moment.
Not for long, guaranteed.
Under 5 minutes to go first half. Fairfield with the ball and a 2-point lead.
Oglesby running along the baseline. Got to make sure they find him. He certainly is the hot hand right now.
Todd spins to the baseline. Nice job by DeRozier to cut him off.
It's a solid position defense.
Hahn, great look. Michael Bell gets the layup.
And that play made by Hahn. Gets himself deep into the lane, draws the two defenders, and then kicks it to the open man.
Fairfield with a 4-point lead, still with no points yet from DeWitt Maxwell. Their senior and really only somewhat consistent post presence on the offensive end.
Especially post scorer. I mean, he's the guy, when you look at this Fairfield team, he's their only guy that can score consistently inside.
Mathis goes up and over everybody and lays it in for 2 more.
Yeah, talk about consistent inside scoring. Mathis with the strength. He's an undersized post player at just 6'6", and that might be a bit generous, but certainly nobody's as strong as he is inside.
Michael Bell continues the Fairfield hot shooting, and the Stags have opened up a 5-point lead, its largest of the night.
Now they struggled knocking down threes early on, went to the bench and got some help. Here's that terrific play by John Hahn as he gets himself deep into the lane. Mathis, that consistent player, that strength. Don't matter if you're going to bang him, you got to bring it hard because he's just going to fight through contact with that upper body strength.
Joe Mihalik's ball club, the defending MAAC tournament champs, made it to the big dance last year by beating Ryder 81-59 in the finals.
And you talked about that great game last time out here in this building. He said it certainly showed his team's heart. He was worried about their last couple games coming off a tough loss against Marist on the road where they didn't play very well. But he said that game made me believe that we've got a chance. He's coming into this weekend. The only people that think we have a chance are he and his players. And he said, as long as we believe, I think we've got an opportunity.
And over the years, Joe Mihalik's Purple Eagles have come into this building in particular and played some epic battles. They usually play very, very well here at the Pepsi Arena.
He said he came into the locker room after a heartbreaking loss. You lose 96-92, in overtime. He comes in, double overtime, head down. He said, as soon as I walked in, the team picked me up because they were all fired up saying, we're going to get ourselves back here and make a run in the tournament.
And that's what they're looking to do. Round 1 is well underway here in Albany of the MAAC tournament. Fairfield on top by 5.
450 years of Jesuit tradition are woven into a Fairfield University education, an education characterized by academic excellence and service to the community. Fairfield's success is fostered by a caring faculty that knows their students as individuals. Located just an hour from New York City, Fairfield University combines a park-like campus conducive to learning with the city's cultural and career advantages. Fairfield University, where education reflects the challenges and opportunities of
Fairfield 33, Niagara 28 late in the first half here in Albany. And let's get back to our Broadway marketing mind-bending trivia question. Which MAAC team won the first game in postseason play, either in the NIT or the NCAA? And the answer is, we turn back to 1983. The Iona Gales beat St. Bonaventure in the NIT. Broadway marketing, mind-bending branded solutions. We talked in our first broadcast about that terrific Iona team of that era. Steve Burt Sr. and the rest of the guys winning the MAAC tournament, but not having the opportunity to go to the NCAA that first year of the league because they didn't have the automatic bid.
Brown showing you his versatility. We've seen him step out from beyond the three-point line against the zone, that time getting into the soft spot right at the high post.
Brown with a dozen. 3:15 to go here in the first half. Nice give and go. Hahn with a lefty shot off the glass and in, plus the foul against J.R. Duffy.
Well, Fairfield's been very aggressive offensively. They've done a good job of moving the basketball, crisp cuts throughout. They've had good flow and movement offensively.
Jonathan Hahn, a 6-foot freshman from Brooklyn, and he's very comfortable taking the ball to the basket. Loves to drive and able to get a three-point play here if he makes the foul shot.
And the quick dish, as soon as the double was coming out of the zone, they got rid of the basketball. They've had good player movement and good ball movement, and that's the key.
Niagara down 5 with the ball.
Hang on to that ball a little longer, and all of a sudden you're in a trap situation. Get rid of it quickly, and it turns into an assist.
Brown rises up but misses, and Mathis the last to touch out of bounds. Fairfield will have it. Alvin Carter checks back in. Danny Oglesby, who has had the hot hand, sits down with 11 points. He leads Fairfield.
And Niagara with that security blanket, if they're not shooting the basketball well, they just come crash the offensive glass.
Hodge, the trigger man, still looking and gets it into his backcourt mate, Lorenzo Miles. Hodge is a 6'1" sophomore from Washington, D.C. Has settled in nicely to the point guard role for Niagara. Nice job by Fairfield to deflect the pass, but it goes right to J.R. Duffy. And the junior from Fort Worth, Texas, makes it a three-point ball game.
And he scores his first 2 points. He's been very quiet here in the first half. Oglesby has not been quiet. 11 quick points off the bench, stepping into threes right in rhythm.
Michael Bell, cut off, spins back. Jonathan Hahn will reset. Uses the Maxwell screen, the step back three. Miles with a rebound and a burst of speed. Nice up fake to get around Bell. Even better pass to Mathis for two.
Yeah, he can't do a better job running the break right there than Miles. Terrific ball handling to get by the first defender with a little head fake and then finishes it off. Mathis at the receiving end of that terrific play.
2 quick buckets, pulls Niagara back within a point with 90 seconds to go here in the first half.
One of the keys for Niagara as well, no foul trouble here in this first half. With their short bench, that's certainly a big benefit heading into the locker room for Joe Mihalik's team.
DeWitt Maxwell with his first bucket. Fairfield back on top by 3. Brown looking to tie it. He does.
I was looking to throw over top to Duffy, but then Maxwell backed off and got into the passing lane. Good recognition. Take what the defense gives you. Don't force it. Didn't force the alley-oop. Instead gets an open 3.
And Brown with 15 points here in the first half. He went for 25 in the second half in the bracket buster game against Velpo. So he really can put points up in a hurry.
Yeah, what was your line a week ago? What can Brown do for you? He can do a lot for you right now. The point guard, Miles, getting out on transition. Nice feed ahead to Mathis for the finish. And here's Brown. What can he do? Well, he can knock down threes. You saw Maxwell starting to get back into the play as he was looking over top for the alley-oop. Instead, took the 3.
Tie once again broken, this time by Terrence Todd.
Recognizing he had a mismatch out on the perimeter and used his quickness to get all the way to the rim.
And the other half of our Star Watch, the senior from Neptune, New Jersey, has 6 points. Duffy lays it in, and we're tied once again at 39 apiece, and Niagara calls a timeout.
How about the athletic play by Cliff Brown? That was a tough catch once again in traffic, looking like the wide receiver, and then the presence of mind to stay with the play, making the pass from the floor. He has certainly done everything. Ball knocked away. He gets knocked down, but how about that shovel ahead right off the bounce? Presence of mind to not worry about the fact that his legs get taken out of him. Most guys would be looking for the foul. Instead, he was looking for his teammate.
Well, Brown transferred to Niagara University from Kent State and began the season as a role player and has worked his way into the rotation and worked his way into a primetime position.
And initially, Joe Mihalik really didn't know what position he was going to play, but certainly with the minutes that he has gotten, consistent minutes since Jaron Fisher's gone out, what he's figured out is that he's a perimeter 4-man, a guy that can score it inside a little bit, but is going to give you tough matchup problems as he now takes other 4 men away from the basket.
Well, Brown started the first 5 games of the regular year, then came off the bench for the better part of the season, and now coming back into the starting role, and you see he's already gone past his season average through the first half here. Shot clock is off, so Jonathan Hahn will hold for the final shot of the half. We're tied at 39.
This was a fairly clean played first half after a sloppy start in the first 2-3 minutes.
Todd fouled by DeRozier on the dribble.
And DeRozier giving up the foul, just the 3rd team foul, forcing Fairfield to take it back out. DeRozier, a guy coming off the bench who they can afford to give up a foul.
Alvin Carter replaced by Danny Oglesby. So with 5.1 seconds left in the half, Hahn gets it into Bell, who has it stripped for a moment away. Todd gonna have to force it up. The reverse at the buzzer is good, and Fairfield with a terrific burst in the last 10 minutes of the half, have a 2-point lead at the intermission.
And the burst of speed to finish it off. Terrence Todd, lightning quick first step, and has the ability to get all the way to the other side of the rim for the finish.
Fairfield 41, Niagara 39. We'll take a break. After we take another look at this terrific burst of speed, Todd with 8 points, and the Stags have the advantage. We've got our halftime report coming up. Will there be halftime decisions to be made for Niagara University? We'll see on the MAAC Television Network. Tim O'Toole's Fairfield Stags trying to pull a mild upset. The 8-seeded club leading the 7th-seeded club, 41-39. We reset our star watch. Todd with 8 points, and Brown, the big story offensively for Niagara, with 15 points.
Early on, establishing his presence inside, and then later stepping out beyond the three-point line. 3 for 5 from deep.
Hodge and Miles in the backcourt to start the second half for the Purple Eagles. Brown, Duffy, and Mathis inside, and that's where they go to Brown. Just like the start of the ball game, and just like that, he's got 17 points.
Well, they've been able to dominate in the paint. They've doubled up Fairfield as far as points in the paint are concerned.
41 apiece. Todd, Carter, Hahn, Maxwell, and Bell, the starting unit here in the second half. Terrific spin move on the post by the left-hander, DeWitt Maxwell.
And one of the few times he's gotten himself an opportunity, isolated one-on-one inside.
Well, he did finish the regular season strong with a couple of double-doubles in Fairfield's last 4 games, but we haven't really seen him get on track so far here tonight. Nice fight by Michael Bell, and he finally clears the rebound. And here come the Stags.
And the officials have been consistent. They certainly have let them play.
Hahn went up strong, and he was fouled by Hodge. First foul on Hodge.
Well, Hahn showing you good quickness right there. Little head fake, and then goes along the right side to draw the contact.
Well, since we've only had 9 team fouls called in this ball game so far, nobody in any sort of foul trouble. The only one with 2 is Danny Oglesby. Jonathan Hahn misses on the first. He's a 65% foul shooter, just a freshman, but he misses a pair.
And that's a number he's got to work on and bring up. He's got a good stroke. The lefty's got to concentrate when he gets himself to the line. As a point guard, can't shoot it at 65%.
Lob on the post to Brown. Felt where the defensive pressure was coming from and did a nice job to get off the jump hook. Just couldn't finish, and Hahn at the other end misfires, and there's Brown hustling back for the rebound. Double dribble. Hodge has had a tough evening here in Albany, and you can see the frustration as he punches the basket support.
Both these teams took care of the basketball in the first half. Just 2 turnovers in that first half for Fairfield. Niagara with 4. And remember, that's going against full court pressure all game.
Bell has just enough space to get the shot off and buries it over Duffy.
And he had that space because it was good execution out of their half-court offense. Good screen in to get him that look.
Duffy does a nice job coming to the dangerous pass into the front court. And Miles will go to the line to shoot 2.
Tell you what, Fairfield has done a great job in their pressure, getting back and recovering. Niagara's trying to force it and trying to attack at the back end of it. Here's this nice screen in right there by Maxwell. Didn't get a whole lot of contact, but at least forced the defender, Duffy, to have to take the long route to get back out to the shooter, Bell.
Miles, no good on the first. He was 2 for 2 from the line in the first half. Oh for 2, so just like Jonathan Hahn at the other end, he misses a pair, but unlike Fairfield, Niagara's got that presence on the offensive glass, and James Mathis now with 13 points.
And that's just simply outworking people. Great effort by the senior leader, Mathis, inside.
Alvin Carter being face guarded by Mathis. Spins away from it. Lost the dribble on the way and has to kick it back out. Three-point shot is good by Terrence Todd, and quick timeout called by Tim O'Toole.
A broken play turns into an open three for Fairfield.
We'll take a break. Fairfield has opened up a 6-point lead over Niagara. (49-43). The Stags have opened up a 6-point lead here early in the second half in Albany. And Fidelis Care is proud to sponsor the Fidelis Care Family section. Fidelis Care, providing free or low-cost health insurance to all New Yorkers through the Child and Family Health Plus programs. Fairfield head coach Tim O'Toole, the 2004 MAAC Coach of the Year, earning his money tonight.
Working the sidelines as he always does, an animated figure along the sideline, and certainly his team has fed off of that. They've had a lot of energy here tonight.
Hans knocked the ball out of bounds away from Mathis.
He's also done a very good job of using his bench. See, they've really stepped up and started making threes, led by Oglesby. That spark off the bench, but the bench certainly has been a big factor. Played 10 guys in the first half. That's a luxury he has, a luxury Joe Mahalik does not have.
Meanwhile, Lorenzo Miles continues to find the range from beyond the three-point line. He makes it a three-point game once again.
You got to figure whichever team can step up and get a couple stops in a row. As we said, both these teams a little challenged defensively.
Off the dribble. Nice little pull-up mid-range jumper again by Terrence Todd, the senior from Neptune, New Jersey, now with 13 points.
And that's tough to stop. His quickness, able to get by defenders, and his ability to finish over top.
Alvin Carter commits his first foul, and the second against Fairfield here in the second half. Getting ready for the press conference after the game.
Showing you the view of the post-game press conference. Both coaches and a couple players from each team, one with a big smile on their face and one team knowing that their season is over.
Well, you can see that the staff here at the Pepsi Arena is prepared and ready to go. 16:40 left to go in the second half. J.R. Duffy steps into the shot nicely, and well, he's a heck of a lot taller at 6'8" than Terrence Todd, who was trying to defend him at 6 feet, and he just went up and over.
And that's the key. His size, you're not going to be able to get out and challenge that out on the perimeter.
Duffy now with 7 points, and Fairfield back within a couple. Maxwell, that's exactly what he loves to do. Left-hander, put it on the floor and get up toward the rim.
Isolated into man-to-man, caught the ball on the high post, and the quick one dribble to cover a lot of ground to get himself to the rim.
Maxwell now with 6. And starting to feel it from the perimeter, J.R. Duffy.
And that's a quick 6 right there. He's now starting to step it up. He has 18 points, got off to a slow start, but really starting to pick it up, knocking down a couple of threes.
It's back to a 1-point ball game. Just when Fairfield started to have some separation since that timeout, Niagara has pulled back in it. Bell for 3. Well short. Brown the rebound, and the Purple Eagles with a chance to retake the lead.
And credit Duffy for the closeout. He got a hand up in the face and bothered Bell on that shot.
Miles, DeRozier, and Duffy in the perimeter. Excuse me, Rob.
And both teams dead even now, shooting the ball 7 for 15 from beyond the 3. They both started slow and both have picked up since then.
And it seemed to happen just about the exact same time in that first half. They have been close pretty much from the get-go. Alvin Carter picks up his second foul, and it takes us to break. 15:07 left in regulation. We've got a 1-point ball game.
What was most interesting about those papers?
The biggest thing I think is that NU is a lot more challenging.
The topic for today's class is going to be community policing.
They have high expectations, but I think it helps you, prep for the real world.
I've been teaching the DARE program.
They give you a chance to actually talk to professionals in that field. You know you're going to end up somewhere great because they've given you what you need to succeed. I would like to get my master's here at NU, and then I want to be in the FBI. High hopes, huh? My name is Asha. My school is Niagara University.
53-52, Fairfield's lead has been cut to 1 by Niagara. The winner of this game moves on to round 2 to take on Iona tomorrow night here in Albany. And the 1986 MAAC Men's Basketball Championship game between top-seeded Fairfield University and 6th-seeded Holy Cross was televised on ESPN. The Stags won their first league championship by beating the Crusaders at the Meadowlands, and Jim McCaffrey was the tournament MVP, just part of our remembrances on this 25th anniversary of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Holy Cross, of course, no longer in the league, and Fairfield has not been a charter member. They've been in the MAAC for 22 years. They joined after 3 years. But really, since Ryder and Maris joined the league nearly a decade ago, it has been very, very stable, the membership. Three-point shot by Barry DeRozier, and the Purple Eagles have retaken the lead at 55-53.
Niagara giving you a different look with the 1-3-1 now. And both these teams really change up defenses in an effort to mask their lack of defensive quickness.
Fancy look from Jonathan Hahn, but he lost track of where he was with his body. Winds up picking up the charge.
Yeah, get into the lane, but keep 2 feet on the ground. You get in here, nice little bounce pass would have gotten it done. By the time you leave your feet, you're begging for that charge.
And so Hahn takes a seat. Niagara moments ago retook the lead on a DeRozier three-pointer, now trying to build on that lead.
And now Fairfield out straight man-to-man, even though they're extending the floor.
.14:22 left in regulation. Middleton checks back in, and Carter will take a seat. Miles looking to build on that 6-0 Niagara run, and now the Purple Eagles will have a chance to extend that run from the free throw line. James Mathis was hacked on the way to the basket.
And good solid all-around game from Miles, knocking down some shots to stretch out the defense, but then getting himself into the lane and finding other guys in the lane. Defense steps up, drop it off into the trusty hands of James Mathis.
This season, Aeropostale will donate an article of clothing for every free throw made during conference play, and at the end of the season, Aeropostale and the MAAC will distribute these clothes to youth groups in our communities. Thank you very much, Aeropostale.
Here now, Niagara will stay in the 1-3-1. One of the keys here is to make sure that you cut off lanes.
Herbie Allen checked back into the game, penetrates nicely, and finds another bench player for an easy two.
And as you stretch out into that 1-3-1, again, you've got to contain the dribblers. Right there, that's a bad sign for Niagara. Miles, who's had a solid all-around floor game, in obvious pain right there.
As we see Jeff Middleton take the pass and lay it in, Miles came down awkwardly, and just off the left side of your screen, you could kind of see him hobbling. And so now he will be attended to.
Looked like he may have stepped on the foot of Middleton right there. Either that or he's got a cramp, and actually looks like a cramp, and that might be a good sign.
Let's take a look on the right-hand side of your screen. Behind the shooter, Miles comes down, and
yep, that's a cramp.
Yep.
I mean, that's a lot better than turning your ankle, and certainly they cannot afford to lose Miles or anybody. Just 7 deep is this Niagara bench.
So they massage the calf and get him some fluids and hope that Lorenzo Miles doesn't have to spend too much time on the bench, because as we've talked about, Niagara doesn't have much of a bench to go to.
Only 2 guys that can come in besides their managers that they have dressed up at times. We saw that in the game we had up at Maris. They were in street clothes in the first half, went into the telephone booth, come out as Superman, and even got into the game up there.
Both got in, no doubt about it. Pretty good stuff. You don't see that in college athletics every day. And if Niagara University was a football school, you wouldn't have that, because you'd be able to go get another Division I athlete from another sport who played high school basketball. But at a school like this in the MAAC, you might have that possibility.
Good point. I've never seen it. You certainly have seen managers midway through the season, a couple guys get hurt. Some of those guys because they often played high school basketball and are around the program, and managers because they love the game. You see those guys, but you never see it at halftime.
No.
Street clothes in the first half. suited up and playing in the second.
Well, Rob, don't miss your chance to help the MAAC celebrate this 25th anniversary by voting for the best 25 athletes in the history of the league on MAACsports.com, where you can always stay connected to the MAAC and your favorite teams and players. And we still have 9 teams alive in this tournament, 9 different squads hoping to be here on Monday night, playing for an automatic spot to the NCAA tournament. Manhattan is the #1 seed after having won the regular season championship. The Jaspers have already clinched an automatic spot to the NIT if they don't win the NCAA spot. Niagara right inside the Mathis.
And perfect execution against the half-court trap. You figure with Miles out, they'll turn up the pressure. Good ball reversal to kick it inside and score it.
Mathis now with 17 points. Michael Van Scoik trying to snap this 10-0 run. Can't do it.
And Niagara on the run, trying to keep the pressure on.
Van Scoik the rebound, and he's fouled by Duffy.
And that would have been a big shot right there, straight on from the top of the key. A little bit quick, but the way that Brown has been shooting the basketball, still a good shot.
Van Scoik and Allen in the backcourt for Fairfield with Danny Oglesby. Middleton and Maxwell inside. Nice screen to get Allen the open look. Maxwell underneath is fouled by Mathis, and he'll shoot 2.
Okay, good strength right there by Maxwell to get that basketball up on the rim. A lot of contact from Mathis, yet able to fight through it. Nearly had an opportunity for a 3-point play.
Yeah, that was a nice set to get Allen the open look. He's a 43% shooter from beyond the arc. Just couldn't knock it down.
They've done a good job attacking the 1-3-1. You don't see a whole lot of 1-3-1 unless you're in the Big East, and you see it every time that you're playing West Virginia. But Fairfield has gotten some open looks. They haven't converted against the 1-3-1, though.
DeWitt Maxwell missed the fall semester for violating student code of conduct. He missed the first 8 games of the year. But Tim O'Toole was happy to have him back for the spring semester. The senior forward has 8 points now.
There's where you got to get the basketball. Middle of the floor, good things happen.
Duffy with a big 3, and the Purple Eagles staying hot here in the second half.
I tell you what, Niagara knew coming into the game that Fairfield was going to throw a ton of different things at them. They've certainly taken care of attacking at the back end of the pressure.
Oglesby, just like in the first half, has the big answer here in the second half.
And again, at times the forgotten man, but certainly has the ability to shoot the ball from deep.
He's more than doubled his season average so far tonight with 14 points.
Now you've got to settle in. If you're Fairfield, find shooters, match out of the zone. If you're Niagara, take your time and get a good offensive possession.
And they are taking their time. Shot clock down to 12. Duffy blocked by Middleton. Terrific closeout, some 20 feet from the basket.
Yeah, getting out in the zone defense to go challenge on the perimeter.
Van Scoik well short. And the Purple Eagles back the other way on top by 2.
And here's where Joe Mihalik's saying slow it down. He's got Miles on the bench. They do not have a lot of depth. Remember, you're not just trying to win today's game. You're trying to win 4 games in 4 days. You got to make sure, especially with the short bench, that you slow the game down every now and again.
And you've got Iona laying in wait. The second seeded team here in the tournament will get the winner of this ball game.
And remember, Niagara has knocked this senior class out of the tournament each of the last 3 seasons. They've had Iona's number in this MAAC tournament.
Well, the Gales are just hanging out, watching the first round of the MAAC tournament. Air ball that time by Oglesby, about the only thing that's not gone right at the offensive end for him.
You can see without Miles on the floor, though, this Niagara team certainly doesn't have the same kind of rhythm at the offensive end.
Mathis draws a big crowd of red-shirted players, and he is fouled. Let's take a break with a media timeout here at the Pepsi Arena. It's a 2-point Niagara lead over Tim O'Toole's Fairfield Stags.
What was most interesting about those papers?
The biggest thing I think is that NU is a lot more challenging.
The topic for today's class is going to be community policing.
They have high expectations, but I think it helps you, prep for the real world.
I've been teaching the DARE program.
They give you a chance to actually talk to professionals in that field. You know you're going to end up somewhere great because they've given you what you need to succeed. I would like to get my master's here at NU, and then I want to be in the FBI. High hopes, huh? My name is Asha. My school is Niagara University.
where the dream of success comes true.
Both of these teams have been lighting it up from beyond the three-point arc, especially here in the second half for the Purple Eagles.
A good ball movement against the zones, and now all of a sudden you kick it out and step right into it. The confidence of Duffy, who had a quiet start to the game, making some noise coming down the stretch. Even when guys are flying at him, the concentration to stay with it, finish off the shot, and certainly the three-point shot, a big story here. Both teams shooting it extremely well from beyond the three. 40% for Fairfield, 45% for Niagara.
And for the Purple Eagles in the second half, Rob, 5 out of 8, including J.R. Duffy, who has heated up. 4 different Niagara players in double figures. And Lorenzo Miles, we're happy to report, is back onto the floor. And I'm sure Joe Mahalik is happy to have his veteran steadying force in the backcourt back out there, along with Stanley Hodge.
Absolutely. Even though Hodge has moved over to the point guard spot, Miles, they need him on the floor to help handle the basketball against the pressure. Another big game, especially inside in the paint for Mathis, closing in on a double-double.
Herbie Allen at the point for Fairfield. Middleton finds Todd. Had it knocked away by Brown. Nice job on the defensive end. And the Purple Eagles will slow it down just a bit. They've got a 4-point lead and the basketball.
Good decision by Duffy. He had defensive pressure coming from behind. He was in traffic. Pull it out and reset.
Traveling violation against Brown as he changed his pivot foot. And so the Stags of Fairfield University get the ball back. Herbie Allen out of Bishop Laughlin High School, made the All-MAAC rookie team. Here's Allen looking for some space to get off his own shot. Hodge staying with him, gets some help from Duffy, who is called for the foul.
A little too aggressive coming out, trying to hedge off that high ball screen. Got himself out, showed his numbers, but had some contact.
Foul on Duffy, his third. And he's the only player in any sort of foul trouble here as we just passed the midpoint of the second half. Allen, I think, made that shot a little more difficult than it had to be with Duffy closing hard.
Yeah, and Duffy right there being aggressive despite the 3 fouls.
Miles misfires. Weak side rebound for Terrence Todd, and the 6-foot senior looking to go coast to coast. In with the big guys, he lays it up and in.
Now the quickness as he's in a full run, getting himself into the middle of the floor, and nobody stopped him.
15 points now for Terrence Todd.
And a very efficient 15 points, 7 for 10 from the field.
Hodge looks to feed the post, and a foul called against Middleton.
Middleton just reaching from behind. If you're going to play good, solid post defense, you got to move your feet.
Foul number 1 on Middleton, and the 8th against Fairfield. So while in the first half we didn't have many fouls to speak of, they're starting to mount just a bit for the Stags here in the second half.
Well, they continue to pound the basketball inside to Mathis. Does such a great job of getting down and creating space by getting small and then playing a big.
Middleton couldn't save it, so Niagara will keep the ball. And this copyrighted telecast of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the MAAC. Duffy out. And for Niagara, you've got Barry DeRozier, Lorenzo Miles, and Stanley Hodge, so a relatively small lineup for Joe Mihalik's club. Mathis and Brown are the post players, although as you talked about, Brown is really more of a perimeter 4 as the Purple Eagles turn it back over to Fairfield.
Get Mathis for the foul. Legal screen inside. So all of a sudden, after a very quick, cleanly played first half, foul starting to mount up, as you mentioned, Doug.
And that's the 3rd foul against James Mathis, who leads all scorers right now with 19 points. Allen quick with the dribble, and he's called for a travel.
Well, he's trying to make things happen, trying to probe the defense, find gaps, and get himself inside.
Alvin Carter comes to the scorer's table to replace Middleton for Fairfield.
And both teams were on a run there for a little while. We had good pace, a lot of flow, and over the last 4 or 5 minutes now, both teams really settling down, taking some time in their half-court offense. Neither team with the same type of rhythm they had during that one stretch.
Well, if anybody can get his team going at this time of year, it's Joe Mahalik. He has had real good success in the MAAC tournament during his tenure at Niagara. The defending tournament champs, and his personal record is 10-6 in tournament play. Nice defense by DeRozier to force that turnover. Brown tied up, and he will shoot two.
A smart foul by Allen to make sure that Brown doesn't have an opportunity for a dunk, get some energy, some momentum going. And also smart play by Brown to make sure that he doesn't get fouled on the floor. Get the ball up to the rim, make sure you get 2 shots out of it, because that was just the 9th foul. It would have been a 1-and-1.
And only number 1 in the personal foul column of Herbie Allen. So Cliff Brown with 17 points at the foul line to shoot 2. And again, earlier tonight, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference announced its Ultimate Award winners. And the man at the free throw line, Cliff Brown, heard his name called as the top 6th man of the year. Although he is back in the starting lineup for the Purple Eagles here in the tournament. 66-62 our score as we are in Albany at the Citizens Bank MAAC Championship Tournament. Game number 2 of our first round triple header. Along with Rob Kennedy, this is Doug Sherman. Glad you could join us here tonight on FSN New York. Maxwell with the drive and the roll.
And again, he gets the basketball on the high post against the man-to-man defense and then just breaks his man down one-on-one. Good solid defense right there by Brown, but better offense by Maxwell to finish it.
66-64, Niagara with the lead and the basketball. Double team against Brown, but he does a nice job to get the shot. Mathis blocked. Maxwell blocked it, and Todd picked it up.
That's where you got to get back. Don't give up that frustration foul off the rebound.
Hahn thought about it.
They've gotten away with the walk.
And now Tim O'Toole directs his club to pull it back out and reset.
Here's where you got to really start executing down the stretch.
Maxwell. Another nice move, and the lefty with the perfect spin off the glass.
And good call from the sideline by O'Toole to get the basketball into Maxwell's hands right at the high post. He's been able to beat Brown off the dribble.
Now Fairfield with 4 players of its own in double figures. Nice look from Hodge to Mathis. Got up to the rim, laid it in, and Niagara's calling for a timeout as they retake the lead at 68-66.
Well, Hodge struggled early on in the game, but making a big play there, able to get by the defense, draw 2 defenders, and then kick it off to Mathis. You put the ball in Mathis's hands, he's going to make shots. 58% on the season from the floor.
And now Mathis has matched his career high, which he established just last week here at the Pepsi Arena with 21 points.
And Tim O'Toole's team doing a good job putting the ball in DeWitt Maxwell's hands in the high post, allowing him to go one-on-one. And again, with that quick dribble going to his left, even with a little contact from Brown, able to finish it off. That was a set play called from the sideline by Tim O'Toole, putting the basketball in Maxwell's hands. They've been able to ride the hot hand in the first half. When Oglesby came in and knocked down a couple threes, they were able to ride him for a while. Now starting to ride Maxwell, putting the ball in his hands at the high post.
I like the English off the window with that little shot. Only a left-hander could do something like that.
A little spin, you know. It's one of those pool shots where you got to go off one ball to the other.
But Maxwell heating up in the second half with his 12 points. You see the bench scoring in the favor of Fairfield. That was mostly Danny Oglesby in the first half.
Again, back to Maxwell, riding the hot hand. This time, defender backs off him. Had an open shot from 15, just can't convert.
The Purple Eagles on top by 2. Brown trying to make it a 5-point game. Can't do it. Oglesby the rebound. He took a shoulder to the mouth inadvertently by Mathis, and play continues. Foul on the drive. It'll go against Barry DeRozier. And that brings us to our next timeout. We'll step away with 6:17 left in regulation. Niagara clinging to a 2-point lead.
450 years of Jesuit tradition are woven into a Fairfield University education, an education characterized by academic excellence and service to the community. Fairfield's success is fostered by a caring faculty that knows their students as individuals. Located just an hour from New York City, Fairfield University combines a park-like campus conducive to learning with the city's cultural and career advantages. Fairfield University, where education reflects the challenges and opportunities of a changing world.
At St. Peter's College, success is a team effort. St. Peter's College, education one student at a time.
Game 2 of our opening round triple header has Niagara leading 68-66 over the Fairfield Stags. The winner moves on to round 2. The loser goes home. Neither of these teams in contention for any sort of invitation to the NIT. Niagara with a record of 10-17, Fairfield at 9-18 coming in. So each of these teams, to keep those postseason dreams alive, got to win in advance and hope that they can win 4 in a row here this weekend. Terrence Todd's the 15 points to lead the Stags. As you would expect, he's the 6th all-time leading scorer in Fairfield history. And this is Todd. Can't get the roll that time. Duffy, the rebound, able to save to Hodge.
They had a quickness advantage on the switch right there. He found Brown guarding himself out on the perimeter, able to get by him. All of a sudden, both these teams who have shot it so well all game long, going a little bit of a tough stretch here.
Mathis matching his career high in points and now exceeding it. That's a new career high, as this senior from Newark, New Jersey is really finishing out his 4-year career in terrific style.
And talk about a guy just trying to will his team to a victory. Every time it's in his hands inside, just outworking people.
Bell misses a 3, and now as we get down toward the 5-minute mark, the possessions become that much more important. Niagara by 4 with the ball.
And about 4 or 5 minutes ago, it started to become a grind possession by possession. As soon as Miles went to the bench with that cramp, things slowed down.
Miles misses. Maxwell the rebound, and Fairfield down 4, looking to cut into that lead. Carter off the mark. Hodge the rebound.
And not the shot you're looking for there. Carter's knocked down a couple outside shots, but again, coming in at just 28% on the season from beyond the three-point line. He's not your scorer. Put the basketball in Maxwell's hands, Todd's hands. Let those guys carry you home.
4:40 left in regulation. Hodge guarded by Hahn. Tough pass, nice catch. Mathis bulls his way to the basket for 2 more.
And bulls his way to the basket and bulls his way before the basketball's thrown in there. He does a great job of just sitting down, shaping up and clearing space. That allows him to get the isolation inside.
Timeout called by Fairfield, as James Mathis, last year's 6th man of the year, getting it done. He's the #1 man here tonight so far.
Oh, just outworking people when he's got the basketball in his hands. And even before it gets there, you see the clear off as he throws Carter to the side and then just steps through to go get the basketball. Right now, shaping up in the low post and demanding the basketball.
25 points. He comes in averaging under 11 per game. So Joe Mihalik getting a huge effort, a double-double from his senior power forward. Well, a year ago, it was the Purple Eagles who came in and beat everybody in the 2005 MAAC tournament. Joe Mihalik's club, riding the inspiration of his mom, Dolores, wound up winning it all and going to the big dance.
And David Brooks had a terrific game, 9 assists in that, and certainly the player of the year stepping up as well. Juan Mendez, Alvin Cruz, and David Brooks, the 3 seniors. And Joe Mihalik and mom certainly had a lot to celebrate last year up in Buffalo.
And they are applauding mostly right at the moment for James Mathis, who has rattled off 6 straight points for Niagara.
And you forget they had to survive a big-time scare in the semifinals against Iona. Iona had the basketball down by 2 with an opportunity to tie it, force overtime, or maybe win it, but a great defensive play by David Brooks as well to force the turnover.
That was a well-rounded Niagara team. Again, not particularly deep, but they had somebody at every position, and you have a guy like Mathis coming off the bench. They really were a fun team to watch.
Well, absolutely right. You had Cruz, the point guard, David Brooks, the guy that people forgot about, the X factor, and then Juan Mendez, the player of the year, scoring it inside.
Meanwhile, if James Mathis had known it was going to be this easy, he'd have started scoring 20 a night years ago.
Another double-double in this building.
Carter takes off from several feet away from the basket, still able to make it to the rim and convert.
But that's a good shot instead of settling for a 3. If Carter's got something inside, that's fine.
That breaks the little 6-0 Niagara run and makes it a 4-point ball game with 4 minutes on the clock.
And Miles single-handedly breaks the pressure. That's why he's so important to have back out on the floor.
Brown, who's been somewhat quiet the last few minutes, gets inside for an open look.
A nice solid screen by Mathis. He doesn't score at that time, but using his body to create an open opportunity for his teammate Brown.
And as you see, a double-double for Brown, now over the 20-point threshold. And it's back to a 6-point Niagara lead.
And they certainly have dominated in the paint.
Brown rebounds the Maxwell miss. That time the left-hander coming in from the right side couldn't get the proper English.
And all of a sudden you look at the stat sheet and Niagara doing what they do best, dominating the backboards. 12 rebound advantage so far, and that's because those two big guys inside just giving a great effort from Mathis and Brown.
Shot clock at 10. Brown from the baseline a little strong, but there's Mathis with another rebound and another chance with under 3 minutes to go to work another half minute off the clock.
Well, Joe Mahalik says he is just the personification of leadership and effort, and he has certainly shown it once again here tonight.
Cliff Brown and the Purple Eagles of Niagara can taste the victory. They're up 6 with 2:47 left in regulation.
This is Siena, a college that builds competence and character, where you're part of a team, a place of academic rigor that builds leaders, offering opportunity and values that prepare you for change, leadership, and life. The tradition, the community of Siena, educating for success, one student at a time.
Niagara has opened up a 6-point lead, and their junkyard dog, James Mathis, getting it done with hustle and determination.
Oh, he talked about the fact that he just never gives up on plays. Take a look right here. Brown gets himself in isolation on the post, and here he is. You see him step his man into the lane. Smart play. If he stays out on the wing, he's got no opportunity to come up with that nice hustle play. Gets himself into position, uses his body, and then just shows a whole ton of effort and hustle to come up with that one.
And that statistic right there illustrates exactly what you're talking about, Rob. The difference in the game with a 13 rebound advantage, and that offensive rebound we just showed you gives Niagara a chance to work more time off the clock as well. Not that they're trying to take the air out of it, but just to control the ball a little bit more. Todd with the turnover back at the other end, and another chance to work another half minute off the clock for Niagara.
And a big missed opportunity right there. They've taken care of the basketball. Just the 7th turnover for Tim O'Toole's team, but an untimely one right there.
Full court pressure by the Stags. Duffy doesn't see Brown right in front of him. Had a chance to get it to him. Instead does get it into Mathis. Niagara's combination of Mathis and Brown really getting it done, and they've both been doing it from the get-go.
Yeah, and a lot of it inside in the paint on the backboards and scoring it inside. Certainly Brown has stepped out to the perimeter as well, but they've dominated the paint.
And no surprise here with Oglesby committing the foul that it's the junior Lorenzo Miles with the ball in his hands to kill that possession.
Well, they want the ball in his hands as well as Hodge's hands. Hodge shoots it from the foul line at 96%, so certainly you got to like the fact that your point guard shoots it like that from the line, coming down the stretch in close games.
Oglesby picks up his 4th personal foul. He had 11 points in the first half. just 3 so far here in the second half. Well, as you said, while Miles is a real good free throw shooter, solid at 76%, his understudy has missed just 1 free throw all year.
He's made 22 consecutive foul shots, so they've got to get the basketball back in his hands coming down the stretch. They're able to stretch the lead out to 7. Here comes Bell now. Bell, a good three-point shooter, replaces Carter, who gives you a little more size and rebounding. You don't have to worry about the 3 right now, but you've got to get a score on this possession.
As usual, Niagara gets to the line more frequently than its opposition. That also playing a role in now what is the biggest lead of the ball game for either team.
As we said, that's the guy you want to get to the line if you're a Niagara fan. Hodge making 22 straight. Hopefully we haven't jinxed him here talking about the fact that he's at 96%.
Well, we'll see what the sophomore out of Gonzaga High School in Washington, D.C. can do. He has yet to score so far tonight. He really hasn't looked for his shot. He is the prototypical point guard. In fact, he's not even taken a shot so far tonight. And we got him.
Well, you know that always happens. But again, that's where you've got to step up, block everything out. Miss the first one, don't worry about it. Step up and hit the second.
Nothing but net. And once again, this is the biggest lead at 8, 76-68. Foul called against Lorenzo Miles, and I'm glad to see Terrence Todd bounce right back up, although he's got a little hitch in his giddy-up, but he went down hard along the baseline.
Well, the defense overplaying the high screen, you see right there. Miles worrying about trying to fight over top of the high ball screen, worrying about the three-point shot, and that gives up the open lane on the left side.
Todd's an 81% foul shooter, and looks like it on his first. This is his first trip to the line here this evening.
And Fairfield's got to convert right here, get it down to a 2-possession game, and then get right up in the full court pressure.
Todd trying to make it 17. He does. And there's the full court pressure.
They've got to make something happen with this press.
And they do on the inbound. Carter comes up with it. Back to Todd with the 10-footer, and there's what you were looking for, Coach Kennedy.
Well, perfect execution. You don't worry about the 3. Still plenty of time. Force the turnover, and there's that mid-range game from Terrence Todd. 1 dribble in the lane, pull-up.
76-72. Tim O'Toole's club has cut the lead down to 4.
There's a great teaching point, as you're going to see right here. Don't settle for the 3. Still plenty of time. Also, don't over-penetrate. Stop on a dime and knock down that shot. Certainly, Timmy O'Toole's got to like the way his team converted there off the made foul shot.
Defensive intensity. That is what Tim O'Toole preaches in his 8th year as the head coach at Fairfield University. You see on the reset, both teams with 2 timeouts to go. Niagara yet to reach the double bonus. And after this ball game, we've got the last of our triple header. Canisius and Loyola will play the final first-round game of the 2006 MAAC basketball tournament.
And now if you're Niagara, knowing that Fairfield's going to be up in the full court pressure, they've only turned it over 11 times, but now not only do you have to beat the pressure, but now you've got to make them pay at the back end with the lead down to 4.
This time the pressure is broken, and with 1:25 on the clock, Miles picks up the dribble.
That was an opportunity to foul Mathis. He had the basketball in his hands. Their worst foul shooter at 64%. You got to go foul him out there. That's not the guy you want to foul. That's a bad play right there. Can't give up that foul with 15 seconds left on the shot clock. Either give the foul up early to the bad foul shooter in Mathis. If not, play the possession all the way through. And I think that's what Timmy O'Toole was looking for.
I agree.
Weren't looking to give up the foul there. But, boy, that did not work out the way they wanted.
And watch as Hodge, well, we've got him going to the free throw line. He was fouled with the shot clock down to 15. And now we get to see Hodge at the free throw line. And watch to see if Hodge is the one who initiates some of that contact there. He got the reach in, and then he and Todd came together, and he got the foul.
I think right there the official thought they were trying to foul and had the quick whistle.
I agree. Hodge 1 out of 2. The Stags with just over a minute to go, down 5.
And still, again, plenty of time. No need to force the 3. Go find the first good available shot. You'll take it, though, if it's a 3. And, oh, my goodness, the foul by Miles. That is absolutely the last thing that you want to do defensively. Go out and foul a jump shooter, giving him an opportunity to get 3 from the foul line.
You can see Joe Mihalik not liking what his junior guard just did, and so Michael Bell, a 70% foul shooter, will shoot 3.
But you got to like the reaction for Joe Mihalik. You know, plays over. He's not worrying about it. Cool, calm, and collective on the sideline. But this is the last thing you want to do. You want to get out and challenge. You see, he comes across Bell's body, and that's where the contact comes. Goes to challenge with his right hand. If you're going to challenge, get your left hand up to avoid the contact.
Bell gets the second. That foul on Miles, his second, and the 8th against Niagara here in the second half.
Again, made foul shot, gets it down to a 1-possession game and allows you to get in to that full court pressure.
Ball's loose. Duffy trying to call the timeout, and it was granted. Ray Perrone. The official does grant the timeout to the Purple Eagles.
And Mathis and Carter getting tangled up on that play. That's a whole lot of beef going on there. You're going to see Carter, as soon as he sees the ball's down, he's tackling people on his way down.
Joe Mihalik with reason to smile in the Niagara huddle.
That's a sarcastic smile, though, talking about the foul that they had on the jump shooter. Challenge, but do not get a piece of people.
55.3 seconds left in regulation, and with this break in the action, we've got a chance to show you our Pepsi Slam of the game. Early on in the ball game, Mathis with our Slam of the game.
I'll tell you what, it looks like he's well on his way to a couple Pepsis here. He has had a monster game as well.
So I get to say Pepsi gets the cola again, perhaps for him. There you see the numbers. You can't get much more efficient than that.
He missed a shot. You got to go back, find out where that was, and replay it. But no, he has brought energy, effort, and set the tone for Niagara.
For that missed basket, he might have to go out and run sprints on Pearl Street after this one. Or not. Just be ready for round number 2 tomorrow night if indeed the Purple Eagles are able to hold on.
And Hodge got away with the travel.
Mathis fouled in the front court. Todd picks up the personal.
He'll have an opportunity to tack on to his career high. Still plenty of time. Niagara's got to take care of business, take care of the basketball, and make sure they take care of it from the foul line. They're going to have to convert from 15 feet coming down the stretch.
Now, while Hodge, the best free throw shooter for Niagara, struggled moments ago, let's see what their worst free throw shooter can do. Mathis gets the nice shooter's roll on the first.
And he stayed with it. Good follow through. Looking like an 85% foul shooter on that release.
Carter goes out. He's upped his numbers from the line tonight. 75%. And Kleiman, he pumps a fist as he runs back up floor. Mathis now with 27 points.
And now if you're Fairfield trailing by 6, you got to start thinking about threes. You get a quick 2, take it again.
Herbie Allen cuts the lead back to 4. Nearly a steal. Duffy gets it back and then the foul, but Allen came in cleanly and very nearly picked his pocket.
Well, he got a hand on the basketball, wasn't able to pop it loose to go get it.
Second foul on Allen.
There's the quickness of Allen. Got a piece of the basketball, but went right back into Duffy's hands. And that's the way the season has gone at times for Fairfield. The ball just has not bounced the Stags' way.
J.R. Duffy is an 80% foul shooter this season out of North Crowley High School in Fort Worth, Texas. Joe Mihalik's club trying to snap a 4-game losing streak and move on to round number 2.
Did you see that? A little sigh of relief saying, oh my goodness, coming down the stretch. Great reaction from the coach on the sideline.
Well, they've lost so many close games. Both of these teams have lost so many close games this year. They know all about nail biters.
Now you got to start thinking about threes. Down by 6, clock winding down. They give you the 2, go take it. You continue to try and shorten the game. Down by 4, that's not a bad play, but next 2 or 3 possessions, you really got to start thinking about threes.
Todd now with 21 points. He leads Fairfield in what would be his final appearance. And again, we talk about this every year, Rob, but during the MAAC tournament, for teams like this that don't have the opportunity to go on and get an NIT bid, a lot of emotions running through these seniors' heads. You're focused on the ball game, but you also got to be cognizant of the fact that I don't want my career to end in 31 seconds.
No question about that. And for Fairfield, certainly a number of seniors. Todd, Bell, Carter, Maxwell, 4 guys that are in the starting lineup. They're trying to continue and extend their college careers.
The Niagara Purple Eagles from Mount Eagle Ridge. That's what they apparently call the campus out in Lewiston. I've been working on this with Michelle Schmidt, the SID for Niagara. Mount Eagle Ridge. Apparently, they used to have lots of eagles out there, hence the name for the school's mascot, the Purple Eagles.
Were they purple?
No, the birds were not purple. She
All right.
did explain where the purple came from, and now it's escaped me. I guess I only get 50% right. Baseball pass, nicely done. Miles tries to get it to Brown, a dangerous pass, and he did get it to him. And then Maxwell has to commit the foul.
But again, Brown adjusts. Instead of backing up from the basketball, plants and comes back to the ball. That allows him to make the catch and get an opportunity to get to the line.
81-77, and again, the Purple Eagles go back to the line, trying to extend the lead. Cliff Brown, an 83% shooter. He is 6th best in the conference.
Here's a play by Brown. He's going deep. You see him react to it, plant, and come back to the basketball. If he doesn't do that, it's going to be a steal by Maxwell, and they're outrunning. Smart play to adjust on the basketball.
Brown gets 1 out of 2. Down 5. Do you look for the 3? Oglesby had the hot hand, and Hodge blocked him. That is a huge defensive play for the sophomore point guard of the Purple Eagles.
Well, you want to get out and defend the three-point shot. It backfired earlier when they picked up a foul as Miles came across and got contact. This time, though, it's with his left hand. That's the difference. Miles comes across with his right, picks up the foul. If you're going to challenge shots, you got to go with your offhand. That's something you usually teach big guys, centers, to go challenge and block shots with your left hand, as most players are right-hand dominant. But it was the point guard making a good play there, as if he's the shot blocker, getting his left hand up the correct hand.
And Cliff Brown, as you see, with 23 points, which is what he's been averaging over the last now 6 games, stepping up big for Niagara.
And their big guys inside have really stepped up big here to get themselves this win.
Todd misfires. Maxwell with the rebound. Back outside. Oglesby for 3. Again, Todd with the offensive rebound. He goes back and fires it up one more time, and it's not going to be enough. Niagara clears the rebound. Cliff Brown holds the ball overhead, and Joe Mihalik's club moves on to round 2 of the MAAC tournament.
And they're still the defending MAAC champions with life here as they will take on Iona in the next round. Remember, we mentioned the fact that Niagara has had Iona's number in the MAAC tournament. Joe Mihalik's team has knocked the Gales out each of the last 4 years.
84-77 the final score. Joe Mihalik with the victory. His club improves to 11-17. They snapped the 4-game losing streak. Tim O'Toole's club sees its season come to an end with a 9-19 mark. They lose 4 in a row to wrap things up here in 2006. Niagara with the big victory and a huge sigh of relief for Joe Mihalik and the Purple Eagles. 84-77, your final score. The Purple Eagles moving on.